I'm gonna eat you.
Oh.
Hey guys, welcome back. I am Jason Salyer, and just like we like to layer our clothing when we're in the outdoors, such as having a nice warm merino wool base layer, an insulating layer, and then something on top of that that's going to protect us from possibly precipitation, we want to layer our food store. We want to have a fully stocked refrigerator and freezer with all the meats and vegetables and things that we eat on a daily basis. I think that goes without being said. So that would be layer one, everyday kind of eating stuff. But behind that, layer number two, we want to have a fully stocked pantry. Now, I'm not saying that this pantry is perfect, and I'm not saying we do the most amazing job of rotating through and making sure everything's up to date and not expired and all that. But we do a pretty decent job. And we've got all the things that we eat on a semi-regular basis, all of our kind of canned goods. These are things that are going to be in our diet on a regular basis. It's not something that's just going to be sitting there for years to come and we never touch it. This is where we keep our kids' lunch stuff, applesauces, nuts and jerky and things of that sort, things that they're going to take to school with them. And this all of the stuff that we want easy access to because it's right next to the kitchen. It's really important to be cycling the foods out and making sure that you keep track of it on a regular basis. I would say quarterly on a pantry like this with some longer term food storage. This is mostly canned stuff, dehydrated stuff, dried out things like that, like dried pastas and that sort of stuff. But we need to make sure that we're cycling through it. Now, canned goods will be edible past their expiration date. I am not telling you at all to eat food that has expired. Please don't do that. I'm telling you not to do that. But for the record, it will probably still be good after its expiration date. Like, for example, my brother-in-law ate some jelly that was canned in this house in 1992. And he ate that very recently, and it was still as good as gold. So there's some feedback for you. But anyway, in this pantry, we've got some stuff that we don't tap into every single day. It's more of a semi-regular basis, kind of as backup reserve sort of deal. One thing that's overlooked, I think, in a lot of people's food preparations is oils. And coconut oil, like this organic virgin coconut oil that we picked up from Costco, is a very good option because it does last a very, very long time. And it will allow you to have a way to cook your meals and give you some calories, give you some fats if you should, the grocery store should not be available for whatever reason. Some dried peanut butter. I've got regular peanut butter, I've got dried peanut butter there, or powdered peanut butter, or whatever you want to call it. Salt is another thing that a lot of people don't think about. Salt is absolutely necessary for survival. If you don't have salt in your diet, you're going to die. That's your body will shut down, your muscles will stop working, and that's going to be pretty much the end of it. And around here where I live, accessing salt is not really a thing. It's going to be very, very difficult. There's some ways to do it, I know, but it's very, very challenging, very, very difficult if you don't live near the ocean. So we've got a little bit of salt here. I've got some more salt back behind it, and I've got some salt stored in some other places as well. But we've got canned meats down here, like, for example, some albacore wild tuna. We've got chicken. We've got beef. Some more tomato sauces, lots of beans, some dried rice and stuff up there, and then a bunch of spaghetti noodles and things of that nature. We typically eat organic foods for the most part because we know the harm that GMO foods, pesticides, and all of that stuff does to the human body. However, if you're starving to death, it's okay to be a little bit flexible on your diet choices. So, for example, upstairs in our refrigerator in our main pantry, pretty much all that stuff is organic, really high quality stuff. Here, still, for the most part, pretty organic-y, very healthy, good choices, but not, as extreme as we would be doing upstairs. So keep that in mind. I mean, do you need to spend the extra money on foods that you may or may not eat in the future in super long-term situations? And if it's in a survival situation, maybe not, that's your call. But something that I'm eating every single day, it's going to be the good stuff, good quality foods. All right, now the final layer of food storage is going to be your extra long-term stuff. We're talking well over a year, 10, 20 plus year stuff. things that you're probably not going to tap into unless you absolutely have to. Disasters, economic crisis, lose your job, major injuries, stuff like that. Maybe you got to tap into your rice and bean collection. So there's lots of ways to do it. Probably the most expensive one is right here in front of me, is kind of packaged, ready to go type meals. And this one is Mountain House. This is kind of, what do they call this one? The essential meal assortment. This stuff is good. It's ready to go. You pour hot water into it. You know how Mountain House works. And it's edible, ready to rock. It lasts forever, but it is significantly more expensive than other options. Your next alternative is going to be kind of the do-it-yourself sort of deal. And that's kind of what I've done here. In this bucket that we picked up from Firehouse Subs for a couple bucks, sealed in a Mylar bag inside of this food grade bucket is rice. And it's a lot of rice. I can't remember the math, but it's a lot of rice in there. It's basically enough food for a man to eat on a 2,000 calorie diet for like a month in this bucket, something along those lines. But anyway, you can do the same thing with a great big giant bag of rice or beans like this, and it'll help it last a lot longer. It'll last a long time as is, just in a bag like this, but it'll last a really long time. I ate some rice and beans that was maybe 12 years old and stored just like this not that long ago, and it was perfectly fine. I did not notice any deterioration of the food quality. Sugars and stuff can be stored in the same way. You'll want to put oxygen absorbers and moisture absorbers in your foodstuffs. In the rice, all I have in there is oxygen absorbers. In the sugar, you probably want to put a moisture and oxygen absorber in there. Otherwise, it probably turns into a brick, but I don't have much experience with that yet. I'll be messing around with it pretty soon. Moving down the line, alcohol. I don't drink much. I drink, occasionally at gatherings and things like that. Don't drink very much, but we have stored up some alcohol for other purposes other than just consumption for ourselves. It's something that you can use medicinally, antiseptic type reasons, that kind of stuff. And you could also trade it. When the world goes to crap, people are going to still want to be able to drink. So as unfortunate as that sounds, this will be a very valuable commodity to have. And we've got a little bit of that stored up. We talked about salt. You can buy it in bulk. You can buy it in containers kind of like this, and it'll last forever. Salt pretty much never goes bad. It does get kind of hard sometimes and turns into a little brick, but you can always break it and chop it up. It's never going to go bad. These are extra filters for our Berkey water filter. Water is something that needs to be considered all the time. This is kind of a backup to the backup to the backup sort of deal for water. These are extra filters for that Berkey filter, so we can pour nasty water out of the creek or pond or whatever it is and still have good potable water, safe to drink for years to come with that, because these filters last quite a while, depending on how dirty the water is you're putting in there. As I was saying, you want to layer your food storage. Your refrigerator, your pantry next to the kitchen, some reserve, longer shelf life, canned food type stuff, and then some really, really long-term food storage if you ever need to dip into those. Hopefully we never do. But it's basically like having insurance. And I think it's a really, really good idea. How much do you need? Depends on your situation. It depends on how much room you have to store the stuff. Sometimes you got to get really creative. I've seen people put buckets like this underneath the box springs of their bed, and they've used that to support the box springs and the bed, which I thought was pretty creative and cool. And if you're in a really small kind of environment, like an apartment or something like that, you can still have some good food stores ready to rock. If you're interested in more survival tips, if you're in an urban environment, I've done a video on that. You can check the link out for that. We'll put it in the description, and we'll put it somewhere maybe right here-ish in the video. And I've also done a video on the process of storing the food in the Mylar bags about a year ago, and we can put a link to that as well, and you can check that one out if you're really interested in it. So if you've got dogs and cats and livestock and chickens and all that kind of stuff, make sure that you've got stuff stored up for them as much as you can handle, obviously, as far as financially and space allows. Unless you're planning on eating all of them. I think I'm just going to eat my dog right out of the gate, just to make it easy. Nope.
We're not eating Maggie.
No? Not eating Maggie?
She is pretty plump.
Maggie is plump and tasty looking.
Is that what you've been doing?
She'd be good on an egg roll. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure... What?
That was perfect. Keep going. Look to the left. That's perfect. Talking about Maggie. She came and popped in.
I'm talking about eating you. I'm gonna eat you.
Oh.
All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you have not done so already. Make sure you leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about all of this. Tell me if you'd eat your dog like I would. And we'll see you on the next one.